Namaste. This is Vishwa at Vishwa Yoga. In this video, I will talk about the sexual practices of Tantra. In Tantra, sex has three main purposes: enjoyment, procreation, and transcendence or freedom. However, in modern times, using the tools of Tantra, Yoga, Ayurveda, and other therapeutic techniques, modern Tantra teachers have introduced healing practices. So for simplicity, these practices can be divided into four different categories: pleasure, healing, procreation, and transcendence or freedom. You know, the sexual energy has been historically misunderstood. Religious teachers and moralists have denounced it, but sexual life has continued because it is the most powerful urges and basis of our birth. But Tantra embraces and uses this energy skillfully. So Tantra is not sex, but in Tantra, sexual energy is used to activate the Kundalini energy. Sexual practices of Tantra include yogic practices, and yoga does not interfere with sexual life. Normal sexual life is neither spiritual nor spiritual. But keep in mind, if you mastered certain yogic techniques, then sexual life will become spiritual. Sexual practices are considered on left-hand path, but many do not know the fact that the left-hand path is again divided in the right-hand path and the left-hand path. So the right-hand path falls under close to the middle path here. I will cover that in another video discussing different levels of customs and practices called acharas. But for simplicity, let me make it clear that if practices include sexual intercourse only with your partner, or no intercourse is involved, such as in many healing practices, then you are on the most practical path called middle path. Else, if you have no such limits and goal is only for transcendence, then you are on the left-hand path. In the West, it is also referred to as pink Tantra and red Tantra respectively. It is beyond the scope to cover all the practices and its detail. So I will focus on main practices in each area to keep it short and simple. So first, the sexual practices for enjoyment. These practices use Kama Sastra or Kama Sutra along with Tantra and Yoga. First is the 5 types of body purification, including proper hygiene. Rituals and exercises focus on connecting and nurturing yourself and your partner at different levels. Some simple practices include morning ritual, self-pleasure, and pleasuring your partner by applying different modalities of touch, kiss, embrace, activating the pleasure points, and even meditating together. And of course, then moving into art of lovemaking using yogic techniques and different positions. In Tantra, the cultivation of ojas or vital fluid is highly emphasized. In simple terms, you practice ejaculatory control, which helps you to enjoy longer. If you're interested, study about Bindu and Amrita too. As you move further, these practices can activate energy centers, and that can lead you to different levels and type of energetic orgasm. Remember, there is a difference between orgasm and ejaculation, but that's a separate discussion. But the bottom line is, these practices will transform your regular monkey sex into true lovemaking experience, popularly known as tantric sex. But this is stage 1. You may experience a heightened state of consciousness, but not the highest state of transcendence, because you are still in the domain of lustful pleasure. In ancient times, yogic and Ayurvedic practices usually kept practitioners healthy, but modern people have different story. So the healing techniques were developed by modern teachers, combining the techniques of Tantra, Yoga, Ayurveda, and other modalities. In healing practices, purification of senses is very important, as most of us have lost touch with our bodies and senses due to our social and religious conditioning. Fear, guilt, shame, abuse, or trauma have created a deep imprint in our psyche or subconscious mind which dictates our daily life. These practices include rituals and ceremonies, including yogic tools, tantric touch, and massages, primarily focused on breast, yoni, lingam, and prostate to activate, release, and integrate. You know, the lower chakras are the energy centers where we store most of our basic issues and stay totally unaware of them. If our basic desires and needs are not fulfilled, working on the higher chakras is similar to building something on a weak foundation. Here, sexual energy is purely used for healing purposes, and sexual intercourse is not required. These healing practices are the core component of Western Tantra, along with pleasure practices. In procreation, the 4 levels of purifications are considered very important: the cycle, the body, the nutrition, and the seed. That includes both sperm and egg. These purifications are done even today in the progressive stages, along with healing reproductive issues, if there is any, using suprajanan and Garbhashankar practices of Ayurveda. Also, there is a guidance on lovemaking for getting pregnant, as well as kind of healthy lovemaking you can continue doing during and after the pregnancy. 4 major rituals and ceremonies called sanskaras are done until the baby is born. In modern times, one of the similar practices is used across the culture, popularly known as baby shower. Just to name some of the ancient practices, that includes special fire rituals such as Putra Kameshti Yagya. Great sages such as Vedvyasa used Niyoga practice, as it is mentioned in Mahabharata. Many rishis combine all these practices along with astrology in a certain manner to procreate a child with a specific quality and attribute they desired. These are considered very specialized practices and require precision and skill. Enjoyment and healing practices are the foundation for advanced practices. But remind you, advanced practices require no lust in your mind. So purification practices here focus on getting rid of lust and creating the dispassion. The adoration of yoni and lingam is done with full devotion to show the reverence. Once established in dispassion, using such as Sivalata Mudra, or also called Lata Sadhana, a very specialized ritual called Chakra Puja is practiced. This is only done under the guidance of a qualified teacher or guru called Chakreshwara, in which the Panchamakara ritual is performed in a very selective group of a few, and this is a secret practice. Panchamakara means 5 substances, also called 5 M's. Each one represents an element. On the left-hand path, meat represents earth, fish as water, mudra or parched grain as air, alcohol as fire, and the sexual union, also called mathuna, represents space. This is a full night ritual in which one partner must be at advanced level and should be able to transmit the highest level of consciousness or the supreme bliss, else it will be considered merely a sex act. The practice of a mathuna is said to be the easiest way to awaken Sushumna Nadi and Kundalini, because it involves an act which most people are already accustomed to it. But in reality, very few are prepared for it. You can only enter this left-hand path after practicing the right-hand path or middle path for several years, because this path is not used for self-indulgence, and ordinary sex is not mathuna. The physical act may be the same, but the background is totally different. There are different kinds of chakra puja, but on the right hand and the middle path, the Panchamakara practice is done solo, and depending on the temperament, elements are substituted with either yogic practices or symbolic items such as ginger, radish, boiled grain, coconut milk, and flour. These advanced practices are only designed for transcendence. Male represents Shiva and female represents Shakti. Advanced mudra practices include Vajroli, then Rajoli, then Sahajoli, and Amaroli. Each mudra has 3 to 7 stages. Some of them are mentioned in Hatha Yoga text you can look into. But they are primarily used to move Kundalini Shakti through sexual energy. But Gopya Mudra is said to be the most difficult one, and only Shiva knows about its detail. To master these mudras, mercury and sulfur is used. Remind you again, it is strictly done under the guidance of a qualified teacher or a guru. These rituals include variety of colors, sound, perfume, dance, and music as well. This is left-hand Kaulai school practice. So this was the glimpse of some of the sexual practices of Tantra. If you like to know more, please feel free to contact me. I am a certified Tantra educator and will be happy to guide you on this path. In my next video, I will talk about the power practices of Tantra. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Namaste. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the information, please subscribe, like, and share so that everyone else can also enjoy this.